There are two kinds of people in this world. The people who fail to do what they know they should, and those who keep doing things they know they shouldn't. Guess what? You're both. Hi, I'm your host, life and business coach, Marcy Barker, aka your loving kick in the pants. In this podcast, I'll teach you the 6 steps of my accountability code that will help you wake up with clarity and show up with aligned action steps that make follow through easy and peaceful. All right, let's jump in. Hello, my beautiful people. I am here with the one and only Debbie Hansen. And you're like, who is that? It's my mom, guys. This is my mom. Mom, share a little bit about yourself, stage of life.
Yes, I am an empty nester. I had 8 kids in 11 years. I currently have 18 grandkids now, 9 boys and 9 girls. So it's even. I'm good.
I did not even realize that.
Yeah, with this last one, born on September 1st. It evened out. 9 girls, 9 boys.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I'm good with that.
I'm number 6 out of 8. Mm-hmm. So I was considered in the little kids, but yes. I was kind of the boss of the little kids because the sister just above me she let me. So I did. Yeah.
And she's a lot like me. And so we let people like that run the show.
So we're at my celebratory retreat. And last night somebody said, Marcy, tell us something we don't know about you. And I was like, Mom, tell my birth story. Like, tell them whatever. I don't know. So It's such a good story. So tell us the best moment of your life when I was born.
That was a very good moment. It was one of the hardest moments of my life, but of course, one of the joyous because I have you. And so on the morning of July 26th, should I share the year so people know how you?
I would love for people to celebrate my birthday.
July 26th, 1989, at about 4:00 a.m. in the morning, I was due to have a baby. And I woke up, felt some cramping, thought, okay, well, I can't sleep, so I'll just get up and do some laundry, kind of kill some time and see if anything's going to happen. And so I went downstairs and started just doing laundry. And I thought to myself, am I not waking anybody up by doing laundry? I've never done laundry at 4:00 in the morning. Anyway, so I did a couple of loads, and about 6:30, 6:45, the pains were starting to get a little more intense. And I thought, okay, I'll just at least go to the hospital just to get checked, make sure, see what's happening. So I went upstairs and woke up your dad and said, I think we need to go to the hospital. And he said, are you sure? And I said, yes, I think we need to go to the hospital, at least to get checked. And he says, okay, give me a few minutes. Let me get in the shower. And I said, make it quick. And I was a little irritated that he actually wanted to take a shower before because I was in pain. And anyway, that's besides the point. And so I waited for him to get out of the shower. And we left our house at 7:01 a.m. So I had been in labor probably about 3 hours at this point, thinking that it was time, but I'd handled that pain before.
It's your 6th baby.
Right, I should know. Yeah, this is routine. And I had gotten dressed. I got in the shower before him and had gotten dressed. And I remember I had pink dressing pants on with this cute maternity top that was pink and white, matching set. It was great. I remember that. So we got in the car, left the house at 7:01. I remember we had to go up to Harrison Boulevard, and we actually had to drive past one hospital to get to the other hospital.
Because I'm picky. I was not satisfied.
and to boot, the insurance only covered the hospital where we needed to go. Anyway, so we hit all the green lights. There was no delay in that. And I remember we were turning the corner to go into the driveway of the emergency room. And I felt like I needed to push. I just knew I needed, that urge is so strong. So I felt like I needed to push. And I said to your dad, I need to push. And he said, just cross your legs. Just cross your legs. And I'm like, that really doesn't work. But you can say that. And I know that's what you...
I tried 9 months ago. It didn't work then either.
So as we were turning the corner, I felt like I needed to push. He said, just cross your legs. Hold on. So we pulled into the parking lot of the emergency room. And as soon as I opened the door and got out, my water broke. I was so grateful that my water did not break in the car.
Oh.
And it just broke and got the cement all wet or whatever. And your dad went into the doors to let somebody know that we were there. And someone came out with a wheelchair. And I sat down, they wheeled me, and I said, I need to push. Hold on. We're not quite ready for you. Just hold on. And I'm
You
like,
guys
this
know
is the
who
story
is
of my
in me.
life. Yeah.
Hold
Hold on.
what this baby's about to do in life.
And anyway, so they wheeled me what felt like 5 miles of hallway through the hospital to get to the labor and delivery room. We got there and this cute little nurse said, okay, honey, get up on the scale. We need to weigh you. And I said, I'm going to have this baby right now. I am not jumping on that scale. And she said, okay, just sit here, get in bed. And so I got myself into the hospital bed. The nurse was kind enough to just pull my pants and my garment bottoms off and put my feet in the stirrup. And they said, oh, you're crowning. We can see your baby's head. And I said, it hurts. Just let's do this. Anyway, so we got to the hospital at 7:12. So it took us about 11 minutes to get from home to the hospital in the hospital bed. And at 7:23, you were born.
Ta-da!
11 minutes later. 11 minutes of the most intense pain I have ever felt in my whole life in such a sensitive area that I really thought I was going to die. So I was a little vocal. I was much more vocal about it, letting people know that I was in pain.
Yeah.
And
so here's the kicker, everybody. Yeah. I was my mom's literal loving kick in the pants. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my name. Your loving kick in the pants.
Yes.
And I love that. And now it just brings a lot more
meaning,
purpose and meaning to what I'm supposed to do in life.
Totally.
So thank you for being the very first recipient of my loving kick in the pants.
You are certainly welcome. I'm so grateful that you are my daughter and that you are part of my life.
Oh, thank you for doing the work. Yeah. Hey listeners, the message of waking up and showing up is yours for the taking. In fact, it's free. I've recorded my entire audiobook and I'd love for you to consume it between episodes. Head to marcybarker.com to get instant access to the accountability code Wake Up and Show Up. All right, let's jump back in. With the accountability code, as I was going through this whole process, there was a lot of stuff that I was like, should I say this? Do I say this? How do I say this? And as a life coach, I was like, I have to be honest and vulnerable if I expect that from other people. So for the listeners, I spent 5 weeks in Guatemala writing my book at a book writer's retreat. And there was a lot of stuff going on in my life that was just really hard to deal with. And I was writing a story, and at this time, I was still on good terms with my mom. We went through a few rough patches, but I had this prompting to send a couple of stories, one to my mom and one to my dad. And for a little bit of background, if you've read my book, then you know from a couple of the chapters what I had to do to overcome a lot of bad behaviors in my family. And then if you've read the workbook, you know there's a little bit more of an update. So one of the stories that I sent you, Mom, was called The Burnout Cure. And it talked about how we handle stress and conflict in our life based on how our parents did. And I've shared this with my mom, and I was glad because what'd you say? You responded to my email, and what'd you say? Send me more. I want to read it all.
Yeah,
she's master of English, like that's her thing. Don't ever try to play a word game with her. It's not fun because she just
I'll be your loving kick in the butt on that.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit from your perspective what your thoughts were when my whole book writing process was developing.
Well, I recall that you were kind enough to share with me bits and pieces of it and let me read. and kind of do my so-called freelancing editing and to provide some feedback or whatever. But I do remember reading about the experience of how I handled stress and to be accountable. But I realized that I was being a doormat. Part of how I handled stress and coped with stress was just try to internalize what I would do differently for myself and let people be who they are. And that has really helped me because I'm being accountable to myself and letting people be accountable for their actions and behaviors. And I think that's really helped me internalize what I can do to improve myself and how I can be accountable to myself and what I really want out of life. And so I am no longer Debbie Doormat. I am Dynamic Debbie.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Dang,
Dynamic
Debbie.
Debbie. Yeah.
And the lessons I've learned from reading your book and interacting with you has helped me find my voice and be who Heavenly Father wants me to be. And I have so much work to do to become that, but the accountability associated with who I want to be is all up to me. And you've helped me see that. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I mean,
welcome.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. In this story, it's specifically about how I get to show up based on how my parents showed up. And the cool thing about it is all of us are ever adapting. And so we continue to learn from each other. And one of the things that I learned was good things and bad things. So for listeners, that story is called The Burnout Cure. I read a book called The Burnout Cure. I can't recall who the author is, but there was an assignment in there that said, hey, ask a family friend something good about your parents and something bad about your parents, and recognize like what traits you have from both of them. And one thing that was the good and bad about my mom was that she could help anybody. And you would be struggling inside, but the second you talk to somebody who's, hey, I'm here to help you. And both my parents are expert public speakers. They're very helpful. They're very dynamic, very people.
Yeah.
And, but my mom's friend said, she could turn off her own struggles and kind of hide it. And I thought, oh, okay. Yeah, I recognize that myself. And the negative and good thing about my dad was that he could help anybody. He would give the shirt off his back and help anybody at the drop of a hat, but it was at the expense of his own family. Right. 2 points where I was like, oh, that neighbor needed money for their friend's birthday party. That's interesting because I had no birthday party because of that. So it was almost the image of like, let me help everybody, but it's kind of the secrecy.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a really good way to describe it because in my own life, I'm like, yes, I am that happy, bubbly person. And I was never one to be like, and this sucks, and this sucks, and this sucks. So I had to learn how to know and understand that it sucks, but I can do something about it. And it's okay to tell people like, this kind of sucks. So,
and one of my coping mechanisms was to keep it inside. And recognize that I could be in charge of my emotions, but I didn't want to show sadness. I didn't want to show struggle. And so I felt like I was able to just turn that off and bury it and say, hey, I'm a happy person. Let me help you out. I'm happy to help, happy to serve, but at the expense of my own emotions and burying that. And now the voice is being heard and it's out now. And I am choosing not to be quiet anymore and standing up for myself. Yeah. So, and you do that very well.
You gave me a big mouth. You both gave me a big mouth.
I would say you got your big mouth from your dad.
That's true.
But,
yes.
but the ability to stand up for yourself is something I'm glad that was instilled in you very early.
Yes.
Because it's so needed in this world.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, it's funny because in the book, I talk about how all of these great things that my dad taught me to be are the very things he's so pissed at me for.
Right.
And it makes me laugh and smile because I'm so grateful for who I am because of how you guys taught me. And so for a little bit of interesting reference, I spent that time in Guatemala in the summer of 2021. And right when I came home was the weekend that you want to tell? Yeah.
I didn't know it was the exact weekend that I had chosen to leave your father.
Yeah.
I had reached a point and recognition, realized that the longer I chose to be in that unhealthy relationship, I was not helping either of us.
Mm.
And I decided that it was important for him to be him and for me to find who I was. And being together, we were not accomplishing that. So I felt like I was enabling him to continue stuck and stagnant in his progression. And I knew deep down that I needed to step up my spiritual game. Wanted to live a higher and holier way and recognize the environment I was not conducive to that.
Mm-hmm.
And a number of tender mercies along the way helped me have the courage to stand up for myself, have the courage to say, this is not working and we need to be able to help each other, just not together.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it was the first day of fall semester that I chose to leave that environment.
Yeah. So that was September, and my first book was published in February, and did my spring coaching program, and then we had an amazing results with all of my clients, and everybody loved the book, and I said, this is great, but I got it done so fast in 40 weeks, the same labor, and it was not as hard as your labor, but it was hard, 40 weeks, that I decided I needed to come out with a workbook so people can take action on what they're learning and put all these client stories in and behind the scenes and all of that. And so, my workbook has the update that my parents are divorced now. And, part of me is like, am I responsible for that? Like,
and can I just say no and hell no?
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can, but everyone has their agency to make their own choices. You know that.
Yeah.
We've taught that to all of you kids. So no one is responsible for bad things that happen in their life. Bad things happen to good people. And it's how we handle things that happen to us, not what happens to us.
Yeah. And to recognize like things that can be bad are sometimes very good. And
it's all for our growth and learning.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. So with all of this, there's been a ton of waking up and showing up on your end.
Definitely.
What would you say is maybe one of the recent ways that you have waken up and shown up? And I guess this is a good time to let my listeners know, like, my original title of my book was supposed to be Stunning Awareness, where it's like, you are, holy crap, this happened, this is new, now I have no choice but to show up differently. So what would you say is one of those recent things for you?
One thing that I have recognized that I am doing differently than I was before is taking charge of my own outcomes. If I want to accomplish something, there's no one I can blame, or no one can do it for me. And so I've learned so many new things that I've never had to do before that are empowering and hard, but empowering. And I think one thing that I have really consciously and deliberately tried to do is stand up for myself, be vocal, say what's on my mind in a very diplomatic way, because I have the ability to be very diplomatic in telling somebody where to go and how to get there in a very nice way.
Yeah.
But I realized I need to have my voice heard, and I feel I have taken charge of my own life.
Yeah, in a big way. Like, whenever I talk about it, I'm like, you're free. You're free.
I love that I don't walk on eggshells anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I love that I feel free. I have the ability now to make choices to say, I'm going to go serve this person, or I'm going to do self-care for me because I know it's important, and not feeling like I have to cater to somebody else over my own needs, because I am independent and I'm on my own. I get the opportunity to work through that process by myself, as opposed to trying to help somebody else because I'm a people pleaser or helpful person.
Yeah.
I recognize I'm taking the time for me to learn what it is that I think my Father wants me to learn for myself.
Yeah, definitely. So besides the story where I call out Dad for his craziness, what other story in the book resonated with you?
I think not so much as a particular story, but the open, honest, transparent rawness of sharing your story and how it interacts with other people's stories, being authentic. So to me, it's such an overall comprehensive look at becoming self-aware and taking care of yourself, because no one else is going to do that for you.
Mm.
So there isn't one particular, oh wait, all of them.
Okay.
All of them stand out. So I can't name just one.
Yeah. Isn't it so cool to be like, look at what my daughter did, and I am a big part of that. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without you.
I am so proud of all of my kids and their accomplishments and the things that they are able to do, and especially when you're exhibiting things that are difficult for me, and I can see your strength in those and gain strength from you. That's empowering to me. Yeah, I have awesome kids. I have the best kids in the world. Yeah. Just ask me, I'll tell you.
You do. And it makes me feel good knowing, I mean, you can never repay a parent, but I feel like I'm doing a good job. You know, the very best way I can repay you as a parent is to be the best version of myself, and to make sure that I don't let what I've been taught go to waste, and I'm passing it down to my kids. So thank you.
And impacting others with the knowledge and wisdom that you gain from your life experiences. Yeah, that's powerful and empowering.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're the best.
Love you. Thank you. She's been trained to say that, just so you guys know.
You are the best.
If you guys know me.
You're the best mom ever.
Just so you guys know, she doesn't say that to my siblings. But I've trained everybody around me to be like, you're the best. You're awesome.
Yes. And I love that. I love that about you, that you're such a positive example. And you're not afraid. You don't let fear dictate your decisions. You've got a great head on your shoulders. But who doesn't know that already, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
okay, stop it some more, Mom.
I love you.
Okay.
And always will.
Oh, love you too.
Love you.
Hey friends, I want to thank you for listening to this episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants. If you got any value out of this episode, I would love for you to drop me a review or share with a friend what you learned. All right, I'll see you next Wednesday for Your Loving Kick in the Pants.